another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Mr. Magazine, I'm going to make a statement and I want you to extrapolate on it.
Okay.
Learn from your mistakes. And I want you to give some examples when you've done so in your business. Go.
Overpaying for items.
Well, you can give a little more just like...
Well, I don't know.
I didn't read the book.
Is a speed answer. Hiring bad employees.
But like where you've made a mistake and then you've changed it so not to do it again. And it's a great thing you need to do in your business as well as life, and
Right.
Too many people don't do that for whatever reason.
Well, I don't know if this is on the right track, but the one thing that comes to my head is training employees properly. When you leave out little fine details of certain things and they don't know this, and when they're going to list something, it could be bad for business. You can get violations, you can get kicked off.
Actually, that's a very good point, and I'm going to extrapolate that out into the greater world. I'm an auditor by trade, and as such, I notice a lot of little things. And work will often send me emails on how to do things, and I figure it out, and the other auditors figure it out, but we'll email each other and say, they forgot this step. Mm-hmm. That wasn't where it was supposed to be. That didn't work the way that they said that it was. Right. And I noticed that when I contact customers of ours, where other people might have a 2-sentence email,
yeah.
I've got a 14-paragraph email, because I'll be like, and then you click here, and then you type this in, then you click this button, then you do this, and it's every single little step, and you kind of almost need to do that with the employees. Now, the way to do that would be some kind of a best listing practices guidebook,
right.
Something like that, where you would hand it to them and you would say, this is all of this,
right?
Because again, you forgot one little thing, and they don't click list, because nobody said to click list,
right? Yeah.
And you've done it a million times, so you're like, well, you click list, and then meanwhile the guy's sitting there like, did you check this before? No. And
you can even break it down further, like just living and learning over the years, like a wrestling magazine or a music magazine, if it has a poster, say it has a poster. I say it all the time because for years we didn't do that. Now you get all these emails that says, hey, the poster, and we don't really want to go back and fix right the wrong. Or like if you're doing die-cast cards, don't just take a picture of the front and the bottom. They want to see the sides, the top, the bottom. They want to see all 6 sides. So it's one of those things where if you don't tell them, it's not the employee's fault. They did their best. They didn't know they were supposed to do that. But specifying, remember everything they're doing, proper drop downs. We had the adult photos. And if you don't do the nudes in the photos, that's a violation. So we had the lister listing off old listings
that didn't
have the drop down. It never checked, or do your first initial listing for the day. If you're going to list 100 of the same magazine title, make sure A through Z to the bottom is all correct, because then the rest are all going to be correct.
Well, what brought this up is I was on everybody's favorite site, including Mr. Magazine's, Whatnot, and I got an email from somebody, and I was not good at checking emails on that site. Well, I've learned from my mistakes. Now, every day I click on the site. Perhaps there's a way that I can set up notifications that I'm notified when there's an email. I have to look into that. Mm-hmm. I will do so after the show. But the person had emailed me, and I had like 4 or 5 emails that had been about a week's worth of emails. And one of the people said, hey, I got the items from you. It's great. I got somebody else's order.
Huh.
So I put as well.
Yeah.
So I'd put 2 orders in the same envelope.
Okay.
I said, oh boy. So the lucky thing about that is because of the way that it's set up, I did include the postage. So I said to them, can you do me a big favor? Can you put it in an envelope and mail it out for me?
Yeah.
So it's no cost to them. They had the mailing label and all that, and they were able to do that for me, which I greatly appreciate. If you're a subscriber, thank you. But what the problem was is I filled the orders, and I put them, this order here, this order here, this order here, this order here. But I grabbed 2 orders and didn't realize, because of the way the orders were, maybe they were ads or something like that. I didn't notice the pages in between.
Sure.
So now what I did is I put 1 this way, 1 this way, 1 this way, 1 this way. Now I cannot make that mistake. Because I learned from it. Same thing with trying to build together the orders. because you got to click to see pictures. So when I'm doing the auction, because I've had times before where after the auction I spent way too much time trying to figure out who bought what.
Right.
I'm going to put all this person's stuff off in this one area, all this person's stuff, so when the auction's over, I can find stuff quickly.
Sure.
Why do I do it that way? Because one time I had the mistake that I spent way too much time trying to find stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure you've had situations like that as well, where over time you've definitely streamlined things because you've noticed things. Hey, there's way too much walking for this person. There's way too much this. I know you've throughout the years tried to integrate the poolers using pictures,
Right.
and some pullers do so, and that takes care of a lot of problems.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
You've had problems before. I know at one point with, I believe, issues with records not being clean necessarily. So now, then what do? You learn from it. Somebody gets upset, so now you implemented
Yeah.
the packer has to clean the records before it goes out.
Sure.
Any other things that you can think of on that you've implemented throughout the years? I mean, it's kind of part of growing the business as time goes on. But there are people out there that still make the same mistakes time and time again because they don't want to learn from them.
Right. Well, even the coding situation, back in 2009 and 10, we were doing everything alphabetically or by title, and then we figured we can't just keep doing this every year because we're resorting things in over and over again. And that's where we came up with the date coding thing. So little things like that make a huge difference down the road. Even putting our advertisement as a sticker in our magazine, in the magazines when we sell them to promote the website. Little things like that. We didn't do it for years, and then now we start doing it. Website starts to grow. So.
Yeah. So and when you see a problem, figure out what caused the problem. And try not to have that problem again. I mean, inevitably you're going to have problems. About once a year, once every 2 years, I mess up orders. It does happen. I do my best not to do so. As far as you send order A to one person, order B to another person. It happens.
No matter how big or small.
But I do my absolute best to try to avoid it. I try to check real quick before I pack it up to make sure it's the right one. I'll tell you one thing and this would not work for you, but if you're a small seller, this may work for you. One thing that I try to do, I kind of, when I'm packing orders or getting orders in the morning, I kind of get a couple of orders, bring them up, buy the postage, bring them down, pack them, find the next couple of items. So I'm kind of running back and forth doing it that way because I find that to be easiest. I know that I could do it another way. I know I could print out a list of all my orders, find them that way. I mean, there's a lot of different ways I could do it. I just happen to choose a couple orders at a time because I can remember 2 or 3. I know it's in this box and that's in that box. But what I tend to do, and there's a reason why I do this, I tend to do one eBay and one Amazon. Why would I do that, Mr. Magazine? Any idea?
Because the orders are different?
Because the way that the labels print out are different.
Differentiate the two, right.
So I can absolutely, and it's happened before where I look and I'm like, wait, that's the wrong label because that's an Amazon label and I'm putting it on an eBay item.
Right.
So it's kind of a catch-all for me as to say, no, that can't possibly be the right item because I know this is an eBay item.
Yeah.
And I've learned throughout time that tends to work for me to cut down on the errors.
Sure.
And I don't really have to look at a lot at that point because, that, or if I am printing Amazon, if I found a bunch of Amazon stuff, and I don't want to run it all downstairs all at once because a lot of different reasons. Sometimes I'll be using one of them for an Instagram tip of the day. Do check out our Instagram if you haven't already. Well, I've kind of put that off to the side, so I don't want to pack that up because I need it for Instagram, but I want to do Instagram this moment and the like.
Sure.
If I'm going in the basement and I've got 2 Amazon orders to pack, I try to make one, this is priority, and this is media mail. I cannot mix those two up, and so on. So there's these little tricks that I've learned as well from mistakes that I've made in the past. Obviously, I must have made the mistake in the past to change it. So do check out, if you are having problems in an area, figure out what the problem is, make changes, always be willing to change. It's really what it comes down to, and you'll find your business thriving. And do hit the like button. That's something you should never change. And we'll see you next video.
Take care.
Jumping the gun there.
Sorry about that.
See you next video.